tourist's eyes. We decided to plan our journey through Barcelona. This meant that we only had to look after our flights for the journey, which ended up costing us around €113 each, and this was including a 10 kg bag. We could book these flights for any dates that we wished, and we just had to inform Barcelona, and they would look after the full Morocco itinerary for us. This was great because we really didn't know the area very well, but in saying this, we were very lucky to be going with someone who was fluent in Arabic, which definitely enhanced our experience. We were picked up from the airport by Hassan, who would be our driver for the next few days, and brought to our first hotel. This had incredible views of Marrakesh, and then we had the rest of the day just to explore Marrakesh ourselves and looking at the city and how everything was working. None of us had ever been anywhere like this before, so there was a lot of taking photos and just trying to take it all in. The first place that we went into here is one of the old schoolhouses. You pay 50 dirham to get in, which equates to around €5, and the architecture is all hand carved from wood, and it's just incredible. Then we can see the tea being poured here. This is the traditional Moroccan jasmine tea, green tea, which is served everywhere, and you are supposed to pour it from a height so it cools down as it enters the glass. You pour it twice so that the tea leaves are completely mixed up and you get the full flavour from it without getting a lot of the tea leaves kind of sitting in the bottom of your glass. The next morning, then we hopped in the car again with Hassan and we headed off to our first destination. This is one of the stops that we had along the way, where we were able to get refreshments and use the bathroom, and it has full panoramic views of this incredible valley as we're heading up towards the Atlas Mountains. You can see the full landscape. Hassan was very good at letting us stop whenever we felt that we needed to, or if we saw something that we just had to take a photo of, which was fairly often in all honesty. Here you can see one of the Berber villages that we passed by. This one is incredibly traditional, so there's not many Western influence on it. Here we have some of the women making argan oil, and we got to see the full process of how they make it. One of the many benefits of travelling by car was that we were able to see Morocco, all different elements of Morocco, and how everyday locals were just living their lives. Another stop for this day was another old Berber town, and this is also known for the Hollywood set that it has at the base of it, where the films like Gladiator and Game of Thrones have been filmed.
Video can problem for video. This is green tea, and this is saffron, mixed water, saffron, not have it can be Mauritania, and this blue, this is indigo, not here. This is saffron in the Morocco, in the Tanouin, and this is becoming the Mauritania indigo. Before for wife, in between for mascara, before to fix it. Now,
here we have our tour guide of this village explaining how they make the incredible artwork that you see in the background. This is a close-up of the Hollywood set that has been made just for filming movies. The town was incredible and you're able to walk right the way up. Our tour guide was very helpful at helping us cross this saltwater lake that runs alongside the village. Another stop we had was this rose water and rose oil factory, in which we were explained by those who work there the entire process of it. This town is known as the Rose Town, and it's because this is what they mainly live off, is making these extracts. When we arrived at our hotel for the night, we were greeted with the traditional tea once again, free of charge. And this is our accommodation for the night. All of the accommodation is set into the mountain so that we were basically felt like we were sleeping in caves. It's an incredibly unique experience and one that I would highly recommend if given the opportunity. One of the other rooms that we're offered, this is a communal room, so anyone can go in here. It has full panoramic views of the city in which we were staying in, and we decided that we would sit there and watch the sunset and just have some downtime to ourselves before we headed up for dinner. The next day we got back in the car and headed towards the Sahara Desert. On our way we had a few stops. So the one that we can see here is the Gorges. So the Gorges is where a river used to run along, and it was great. What it left behind is this incredible rockland. Along the main road you could see lots of rubbish littered along, and this was something that was constant along the side of these busy roads. So really there's nothing around, and it's really disappointing to see. Our group decided that we really wanted to take advantage of being in the Sahara and to go quad biking. So we paid 400 dirham each, which equates to around €40, to have the quad biking experience, and also to have 2 hours at a pool which is surrounded by desert. I do not have any footage of that, but I can guarantee you it was incredible. Straight after our quad biking session, we headed over to do our camel walk, where we got to go into the Sahara on our camels and watch the sun go down once again. We then went back to our camp and we had dinner. What you can hear here is the traditional music of the guides running the camp that we were staying in. We spent hours here just sitting around the campfire listening to them play, and they even gave us the opportunity to try and learn how to play their instruments as well. The next morning we got up at around 6 a.m. and headed up to one of the highest dunes that was close to us to watch the sunset. This was an incredible experience that is so worth the early morning. It is a bit chilly, so make sure you do bring at least one warm layer that you can have. We then packed all our gear, hopped in the back of this truck with all of the bags and headed off. You can see where the camels are spending their nights there as well. It was certainly an interesting journey heading through the Sahara, where very bumpy, and certainly some sore backs from hitting your back off the truck there on our way. This was a long day of travel of 10 hours in a car before we got back to Marrakesh. We headed to the main square in Marrakesh, where there's a lot of vendors, and these are some of the traditional lanterns that you could see. The next morning we had another tour guide who was bringing us around the back streets of Marrakesh and just showing us a little bit about the city. Here are the rugs that are weaved in Morocco. They are everywhere and very traditional. This is one of the old palaces that we were into, and this again cost around 50 dirhams, or about €5. And some of the guys decided that they wanted to hold the monkeys that were in the main square in Marrakesh, but just make sure not to avoid scams if you can. Having Imad there, who is fluent in Arabic, definitely helped us avoid a lot of these scams. That evening we headed out of the city to have our final dinner, and we found this place which did dinner and a show, and this was absolutely breathtaking, and I would highly recommend it. You can see the dancers here performing. This is something that is slightly different and not quite as traditional, and not included in the Erasmus trip. We decided that we would add on an extra night and get our flight very early the next morning, just because it worked out being slightly cheaper for us. But you can see the dances here, and it was just a great experience overall. I would highly recommend. At 3 a.m. we were in the airport and we were all exhausted, having not slept, having lots of 6 a.m. wake-up calls throughout the holiday. And that was our trip to Marrakesh. Thank you so much.